Shalom everybody, as we're getting closer to one of the most outstanding special days of the year, days of Pesach, where we can grow that Kos Hashem and lift ourselves up out of the world that we live in, the Gashmias, mundane, physical world, confusing world, and all kinds of problem kind of world. And Pesach is coming to lift us up from all that and give us direction in our life, be closer to Hashem. And the name of tonight's shmooze is, well, I think is what's so bad about chametz. Let's look at what was going on in Mitzrayim right before the Exodus. What was the purpose of the Exodus, and now they're coming to the end of it and on their way to Mount Sinai to accept the Torah. But that's the main purpose of Mitzrayim, the purpose of leaving Mitzrayim. Not the main purpose to be able to stop slavery in Mitzrayim. The main purpose was to go out, to go to Mount Sinai, to accept the Torah, to close to Hashem, become Jewish people the way we want to. And that actually was God's intention, naturally, to take us out to Mitzrayim to accept the Torah. And that means this was the main first step of our eternal connection to Hashem. The connection to Hashem, the Torah that He gave us, that makes the connection. And here we're on our way to make that connection, that bond, that eternal bond between us and Hashem. And Hashem is telling us, I want you to leave Egypt, and I want to become close to you, and we'll come all one nation all together. Hashem is the words of the Zohar. The Jews and God are all one. So if we want to be one with Hashem, that means we have to have some things to identify with Him, to be in the same plane with Him, so the plane, I mean, on that airplane, same level in a certain extent, some things in common with Him. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Hashem says, I am perfect. There's no perfection in the world like the perfection of Hashem, of God. And if you want to cling to me and be part of our togetherness, then you have to work on perfection too. But you're creation and blood and flesh, you can't be perfect, but you have to work towards that goal of perfection. And that's what I want from you. I want to become you to be my nation, and I want to be your God, but we have to have things in common. The main thing to have in common is perfection. And Hashem, since He's aloof from this world, the world of physical and manual and mundane life that exists in this world, and man is living in this world, so we have to find ways and means to lift ourselves above the world that we live in and raise ourselves to be closer to Hashem. If we want to become one, we want to be to God's people, and that's Hashem saying to Jewish people, that's what I want from you. And that's what's going to happen when we come to Mount Sinai and to get the laws of the Torah. Those laws are going to raise you above mankind, other people living in the world, and you'll become my nation because you'll become a holy nation. What's holy mean? You're above all the physical, mundane, desirous world that people live in, and you become a higher, elevated nation, a holy nation, and therefore we'll be able to connect with each other. And that's what the purpose of leaving Egypt was. And the first law that they had was, one of the first laws was eating matzah, not to eat chametz, to eat matzah. And in that lies the secret of what we're talking about. What's wrong with chametz and what's with matzah? Hashem said to them, I want you to eat a food which represents holiness, completeness, shleimus, represents higher ideas in life. I don't want you to eat things that don't have that idea in it. I want you to go away from food that has opposite ideas and eat matzah, which has, if we analyze it, has a higher meaning to it, what life is all about. And I want you to eat something that you eat, something that's very important to you, something that's very basic for a person's diet, is to eat food made out of grain, which is more filling for a person to live on, more healthy to live on. Now, the food that you're eating, I want it to represent higher goals in life. Because if you'll eat that, you'll think about it. This is what you're living on, and you'll have a better chance to focus on important things. If you think about what you're eating, what's giving you life, what's keeping you alive, if you can focus on it and learn from that what life is really all about. So therefore, Hashem said, don't eat chametz, eat matzah. What are the things of chametz and matzah that make a person think higher ideas, higher goals in life? And we know that the person's physical makeup is like an animal, a bahamias. Person, like we mentioned so many times, every one of us our bodies, our behemoth is an animal. We have the same kind of features in our body as animals, the head and hands and legs and eyes and nose. Our body's like an animal. And our desires and our ideas are animalistic ideas, that we have the animalistic kind of we'll say, personality of a behemoth, of an animal, because we have the character traits which are not godly, but they're animalistic. And the main ones, as we know, are taiva, that desire. People desire having earthly attractions that they like to have, whether it's food, whether it's sexual ideas, whether it's nice things in life that people desire, that our body is looking towards to enjoying. And that's called taiva in English, in Hebrew. Desirous in English, people desire, the body desires things like animals, sleeping, lazying, and all types of things that our bodies are craving for. Then we have atzlus, people that laziness, like animals, like to sleep so much, take it easy, walk into a farm, always grazing and laying down and taking it easy. And our bodies the same way. People are very craving to take it easy, not to push themselves and not to exert themselves. And that's called atzlus, laziness a person has. And a person else has gaiva, called a person that's aloof, is arrogant. Person feels he's very special in his own eyes. He thinks he's greater than other people. He puts people down. He makes himself more important. He feels that he's smarter and he's this and better than other people in so many different ways. And all these things are natural, inborn ideas of a person when they're born. Every person that's born in this world, and no matter who his parents are, and no matter which country he comes from, he has in himself all these character traits which are animalistic and totally not synonymous with God's midas, with God's characteristics, so to speak, God's midas that we talk about. So God tells us, I want you to be a shalom. We're getting together. We're coming together as one. Like we said, the words of Zohar, you serve God and do people all together in one. But Hashem says, I can't be together one with you if I'm so holy and you're so animalistic. It doesn't go together. It's not a shidduch. Just when people get married, they have to have things in common. If they don't have things in common, they can't get together. We have to, Hashem say, I want you to have in common with things with me in order for us to fit together, for us to live together. We want an everlasting and a future forever to be a togetherness. Eternal connection we want. Therefore, Hashem says, you must work on yourself to become more holy and more spiritual and shed off your animalistic tendencies and become more holy and more elevated, and therefore we'll be able to have a connection together. The more you work on yourself to be holy like me, the more we'll be able to get together to be connected to each other. And I want you to eat a food which will keep you on top of the situation, to think about it, and to go out of Egypt with having that in mind. We're going towards the laws of the Torah. The laws of the Torah are much more higher and holier than the way that we live. We'll take each one we mentioned before. We'll talk about a person's taiva, the person's desires that he wants to have. We have so many laws in the Torah that we have to be careful about. They're not animalistic. We're going towards Mount Sinai. You come to holy people. You want to eat. That's the first and foremost thing people will think about. That animalistic part of them has desires for, to eat anything you want, eat that, eat too much, eat things that are not healthy. Hashem says, I want you to eat only certain types of food that cuts out most food in the world, probably, that certainly a good part of it, that are taboo. You can't eat them. Animals, you have to be careful. Seafood, and so many things we're not allowed to eat. So that makes it right away, raising us up out of the animalistic world that we're cut off from all the type of food that people have cravings for. And so that all desires of sexual desires, people cut out so many of them. The person has to be not involved with relatives, having connection to, and having connection to a man and a woman only through marriage. Otherwise, they're not supposed to have a connect to each other in a physical connection, and that takes away so much of the people non-religious or non-Jewish people that they have connection to. But a God-fearing Jew, it takes away so much of that type of lifestyle. When it comes to all kinds of different things in a person's life, the clothes that he wears has to be a certain type, not shotness, not we'll live together. All the laws of the Torah are telling us you can't take everything that you desire. Hashem tells us certain things are not permitted for Jewish people to get involved with. It comes to the other thing we talked about, gaiva, being a person being arrogant. We have to be humble people. We have to love everybody's self, every fellow Jew, to have a love for him and treat him in a way that it'll make him feel good, even though maybe it won't be so desirous for us. That I might have to put myself down in order to get his do something for him. I might have to help him out and do chesed with somebody else, to do kind to somebody else. Maybe I won't look so great for me to go and attend to his needs. Even that does maybe I feel it's not befitting for me. I'm such an important person. The person thinks to himself, and I go down and go and help that person out. That person is such a person who people look down on. He's not considered important. Well, I don't have to. I look, in fact, he's a human being. I have to help him out, even though maybe it doesn't look like befitting for me, a person like me, to go and bow down to him and help him out in his ways, or somebody who's a poor guy and he dresses like a shlump, and I have to go and help him out and be nice to him. I want to go with the guys that are fancy ones. I want to put my time and sit with them. I don't want to go to these nebuch people that people think I'm one of them if I connect to them. No, you have to be humble and be able to mix with people that maybe you feel they're not in your level of recognition by everybody else. And we have to be humble and not aloof, and not to be arrogant and feel we're above dealing with such type of people like that. You want to do with the upper crust of the Jewish people of the world, and you feel that you're not involved with people who are not accepted by other people so much and not so popular. And it comes to Tatayv and Atzlus, and the Torah tells us that we have to be on the ball. We can't be lazy. We have to have laws in the Torah that we can't be lazy. You have to get up in the morning to pray to Hashem by a certain time, or say Kriya Shema by a certain time. We have to say by depending on the season when sunrise is, maybe from 8:30 to 9:30. Around that time, we have to start davening. That's praying to Hashem. We can't be lazy. We have to get ready for Shabbos. We have to do everything quickly in order to, by the time it comes to lighting the candles, according to sundown, Shkia, we have to have everything ready for Shabbos. We can't do a lot of things on Shabbos that we do during the week. So we have to make sure it's all taken care of from before. We have to rush and hurry up, whether it's Shabbos, whether it's Yom Tov, go to shul to pray to Hashem. We have to not be lazy and daven at home. We want to go to shul to daven, to pray to Hashem together with other Jews together, which is a greater praying to Hashem with Jews pray together. And everybody gets the point, I guess. We can think about our own laziness and ways that we're lazy when it comes to serving Hashem, and not being quick and on the ball to do what we have to do the right thing, and to help other people who need help. And we say, well, let the other guy do it. Why should I do it? It's late at night, and he needs some money. I don't feel like giving my money. But whatever, there's all the things we mentioned now have laws in the Torah that we have to abide by, and even though it's going against our nature, going against what we would like to do, but that's what Torah is all about, to do what we're supposed to do, because Hashem wants us to do it, even though our body and the physical and the animalistic cravings and pushings and pulling are not in that direction, but we still have to go surpass those feelings that we have and do the right thing. So Hashem says, therefore, I want you to eat matzah, not bread, because food that you're eating will remind you of what you're supposed to be doing. And at least once a year when it comes to Pesach, to think about what we're talking about, because I'm taking you out of Egypt because we're going to make an everlasting, eternal connection between us. To make that connection, we must have things in common. In common is, I'm holy, Hashem said, you have to be holy. Being holy means Don't be animalistic. Go against your animalistic feelings and character traits, and be like me, like Hashem says, above your animalistic desires and types of things that you'd like to have. Therefore, bread and matzah, they contain that what we're talking about. To make bread, I'm sure all of you have probably seen it maybe by your baba, by your grandmother, maybe your parents, even your mother making challah for Shabbos. What do you have to do? You have to put flour and water together, and you have to let it rise. That means that the bacteria puts off gases and causes the batter to rise, which represents gaiva, represents the arrogance of a person. A person who is arrogant goes with his head up in the air and a very straight posture, walking around like he's the God's favorite person in the world, walking around with his gaiva, with his arrogance. That is represented by chametz. We say chametz is the bad guy. Number one, it represents arrogance, gaiva. Represents taiva, that the person who has desires things, tastes good, or wants all kind of the best type of food all the time, walking around and getting the best cakes and candies and food and so on, desirous person. Well, that's what chametz is, because matzah you don't allow to rise. It's not arrogant matzah, it's flat. It's like a person who's very humble and not walking around with his head up in the air. The same way, when you have bread which rises, that means that's the chemically speaking, that's the water having an effect on the flour, and it gives it a certain taste. Matzah, you don't allow the process to take place. You just mix the flour in the water, you bake it right away, and there's no taste that develops from the rising of the fermentation of the friendly bacteria causes bread flour to rise with water, and it gives a certain taste to it, just like by wine. You let it ferment and it gives a good taste to it. That certain foods that we eat have a good taste from fermentation. And it gives taste to the food that we have. Well, we don't want that fermentation to take place. We want it to be plain flour and water. There's no time involved of the desires of a person's animalistic desires. In the same way, as far as laziness is concerned, I'm sure a lot of you have ever went to a matzah bakery. Everybody's running back and forth and hurrying up and pushing everybody must. By the time you put the water into the flour till it comes out of the oven, can't not be more than 18 minutes. If it's any second more than 18 minutes, into the garbage. It's considered chametz because you're allowed it to rise. The fermentation process went too far, went more than 18 minutes, and therefore you can't eat it. So in the matzah bakery, everybody's rushing to make sure that they put the matzah in on the time for it to bake. And it's just the opposite totally of laziness. Everybody in the matzah bakery is on the ball, rushing. If he's not rushing, they won't. He doesn't belong there. So matzah has all these greatness in it that chametz does not have. Chametz, that's what we call chametz is the bad guy. The whole year we're not worried about chametz being the bad guy because there's nothing wrong with eating chametz the whole year. But once a year, Hashem wants us, just like when I went out of Egypt, Hashem said, I'm taking you out of Egypt because I want to give you the Torah. And the Torah is perfection. The Torah is my laws. The Torah is my perfection, that I'm not desirous, and I'm not lazy, and I'm not arrogant. And I want you to be like I am. I want you to go my ways, and therefore I'm taking it up with that condition. I'm taking it out of Egypt and making you a free people to become to my servants, free from Paro, from the Egyptian rule, and become my nation. In my nation, you have to be synonymous, you have to be like me, and I am above all of those character traits that we're talking about. You have to work on yourselves to be the same way. Don't be lazy, don't be arrogant, and don't be desirous. Be more of a spiritual type of person. That's what Torah is all about. So that's why we celebrate Pesach the same way they did thousands of years ago when the Jews went out of Egypt, because they were on their way to Mount Sinai to accept all the laws of the Torah, which go against all these bad character traits when they're not used the right way. And therefore, we are also journeying on our way to Mashuas. Will come 7 weeks afterwards, which will take upon themselves a new acceptance of the Torah every year. And we want to be holy people above the animalistic cravings and connections that we have. We don't want to be lazy. We want to be fastidious. We don't want to be desirous. We want to be satisfied with what we have. Don't want to be arrogant. We want to be humble people. And that's what we are when we keep all the laws of the Torah. The laws of the Torah are tailored in a way that should make us into holy people, into a higher type of people, take us out of animalistic being that were created when we were born, and bring us to a higher level of greatness, as close to Hashem, to go in His ways, to be perfect ourselves. So that's what we have to think about when we come to eat the matzah on Pesach. To think about we're celebrating this wonderful holiday, and we want to become close to Hashem. Hashem chose us to be His nation. He gave us these laws, gave us matzah, which matzah includes the idea of all the laws of the Torah, because all laws of the Torah are above all animalistic things in the person. All these things that we mentioned. Chametz, that's Shabbat and Pesach. We don't eat chametz because that brings us down to think about the animalistic part of us. We eat matzah this once a year to lift us up, and once we lift it up, we have to try the whole year to live with those ideas that we take from the matzah. By keeping the laws of the Torah, and become holier, higher level people close to Hashem. So there's something with eat the matzah, we have to think. I eat matzah, I would think to myself, I want to be flat like the matzah. I don't want to be an arrogant person. I want to be a humble person. I don't want to be a desirous person who wants all kinds of things in the world my body is craving for. I want the simple idea of matzah, which I want to have a simple life, simple as far as my body's concerned. I don't want to be like an animal who has looking over everything better, or everything food and eating a whole day. I want to eat what's necessary and be a servant to Hashem. And I don't want to be arrogant. I don't want to be lazy. And this, if we think about it, every time we eat the matzah, wow, that would keep us on a high level of greatness, at least a few days, maybe a few weeks. We think about the time we eat the matzah, to have these ideas in mind that God gave it to us for our benefit. And by thinking that way, I want to keep all the laws of the Torah. I don't want to be desirous. I don't want to eat what's kosher, even though maybe it looks good that the bakery, the great cakes in the window. I don't want to eat it because it's not kosher. They might have all kinds of things that catch my eye. I think I'd like to get involved with. No, it's not. Hashem doesn't have that in mind for us. We have the opportunity to help somebody else. The mitzvah of helping somebody. My lazy body says, no, I don't feel like doing it. It's too late at night. It's too hard. No, we want to be fastidious, do quickly and not be lazy, and don't want to be arrogant, lazy, or desirous people. We want to do the laws of the Torah the way Hashem wants us to do. And a good springboard for that, a good start for that is on Pesach, while eating the matzah, to think about this, and that'll give us the shot in the arm to go and do those laws of the Torah and to be ready for Shavuos coming up in a few weeks.